for our next panel, we have a fantastic panel. But before we jump into the panel, we just want to also give a quick shout out to our partners, Founder Institute as well. Britta, would you like to take the mic here?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So we talk a lot about communities and also partners, and we are all in this together. And AHEAD is a community, but a community which is nothing without the mentors, you as the supporters, and also our partners. And the Founder Institute is the world's largest pre-seed accelerator program. We are happy and honored that they support us also, and we cooperate and partner with them also for this very session, the female entrepreneurship. The Founder Institute was founded, I think it's now almost 15 years ago. They are present in 200 cities around the world, founded or via their program, which is a structured program with 13 or 14 sprints. We talked about a marathon and a sprint before. So it's a marathon being an entrepreneur, but in this marathon, there are a lot of sprints as well. So, and it came out of this structured program, also being guided by mentors around the world, 5,000 portfolio companies, incorporated businesses and entrepreneurs, and who got in summary more than 1 billion of funding by the alumni. So, and we are with Eugene here as well. I think even, Carol did go through that program in 2014 or so in Berlin. And we, started the cohort here in Frankfurt within the community. And so great to have you all here and listen to this fantastic panel today about entrepreneurship. So get into practice.
Sounds good. Yeah, Nawres, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. All right, so it's finally time then for our panel discussion about female entrepreneurship. And with us today, we have an amazing panel with very strong and smart women from 3 different countries. So it's very diverse today, which is amazing. Starting off with Leong from Singapore, who is the co-founder and general partner of Purpose Venture Capital. And then we have Carolin Wagner from Frankfurt, who is the co-founder of Station HQ and StartUpSafari, Frankfurt RheinMain. And then we have Camilla Lundin, who is from Stockholm, and she's the founder of Qalora Capital and the network Business and Dreams. And then lastly, myself, who will be moderating this session today. My name is Nawres Caman, and I'm the founder of the recently founded company, Growth Partnerz. And before I jump into kind of the questions, I would love for all 3 of you to kind of start with a quick kind of elevator pitch, just for the audience to get to know a little bit more about what you're doing. So do we have any volunteer of you that would like to start?
Sorry, are you asking for us to pitch about ourselves or our companies?
The company the company that you are driving today.
Okay, so maybe I start since I asked the question.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vaughn. Vaughn is short for Veronica. I know Vaughn in Germany means something to do with the royalty. I'm not a royal. I'm a very commoner. And okay, so let me share a little bit more about Purpose Venture Capital. We are private investors in the early stage. We are an investment company that invests in tech entrepreneurs that believe in building a more sustainable, resilient world. So we are interested in innovations that deliver on UN Sustainable Development Goals, but they must prove the thesis for us that to deliver profit and purpose, because at the end of the day, we are looking for investment opportunities that will change how we view, a business, so that business can be a force for good. So glad to be here with all the wonderful ladies tonight. Oh, this afternoon for some of you.
Exactly. Thank you, Vaughn. All right, Carolin, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the lovely introduction, and nice to meet all of you here already. My name is Carolin Wagner. I am, as you said, the co-founder of Station, and 3 years ago, approximately, or 2.5 years ago, we felt the need for a platform like Station to be created, because it needed, the area here, the region in Frankfurt, RheinMain, is a growing startup ecosystem, but it needed more of a neutral platform that actually also spoke about all the success stories that the ecosystem writes, and that brings it out into the world. So this is what we do. We're basically a content platform or a news platform. So we write about the different stories that happen here in the ecosystem, whether it's new startups that are being started, or even funding rounds and so forth. It's really, really diverse, but it needs to be communicated. It's not something that was established here before, nor was it very neutral. And now we really see that the work that we've been doing is flourishing, and not just ours, but actually the whole ecosystem is growing, and it's growing up with a lot more funding rounds, and also just startups that are actually starting here. And one of, as you also said, one of the main events that we organize is something called the StartUpSafari. It's our flagship event, and it's really, apart from our Station platform, which is a digital platform, we felt the need that it's so important to also have a physical point of connection and an event where people can actually meet digitally or in person, I guess, but to really, network.
Yeah. Nice, thank you so much. And then Camilla from Stockholm.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be really exciting to talk with all of you. So my story started when I was studying economics, and I didn't know what to do with my life. And I ended up finding 3 people who wanted to start a company. So I started a boutique investment bank for tech startups after I graduated from university, called Qalora Capital. And I've been working with that and building up an international network with investors and helping startups with fundraising. But while working with that, I saw how much there's still left to do to create a more equal business world. As some of you might have heard, a very little capital goes to female-founded companies. In Sweden, the number has been around 1%. And I also saw that it hasn't been a lot of women starting companies. So this led to me and my co-founder, Vendela Liljestråle, that we founded a business network for women called Business and Dreams. And the purpose of that is for women to get together, to support each other, to get empowered on their journeys in their career. So now that network is around, it's a bit over 700 women in over 15 countries. And it's the most fun thing I have ever done. And I'm super passionate about empowering women.
Love that. And it feels like we're also going to cover some of these topics today, actually, when we talk about investments and female-founded companies. So yeah, what an amazing panel. I think we're going to have such a great discussion today. So I'm really thankful for that. And before I start with the next question, I would just like to encourage everyone to please put your questions in the chat, and I'll try to cover as much as possible more towards the end. And all right, so maybe I actually would like to start with what it is that made you decide to actually start a company. So Vaughn, would you maybe like to start there? What is it that made you decide to actually start your own?
Okay, I didn't plan to become an entrepreneur. So my career journey is very interesting. I started working since I was age 13 because of my family background. We're not doing very well. And then I became a flight stewardess when I was 17. And then I became, I married somebody very young at age 22. And then I was out of work for a long time, for like 8 years. So I went back to work only at age 30. And that was my corporate career. In fact, I met Caroline, who is Carol, who is the founder of And Ahead, when I was a consultant back in Shanghai, and she was my customer. That's how we met. So many years ago, I think 15, 18 years ago. So it never crosses my mind when I was going through my corporate career that one day I will become an entrepreneur. But when I returned to Singapore, I became a Singapore government director. I was in charge of the social and the health sector development. I was giving money, funds, grants to social enterprises and charities. And I was very frustrated that the money that we gave away doesn't seem to generate the growth that we were looking for in Singapore. And maybe it gives some direct impact to some clients and beneficiaries. However, the impact is very limited. So I wonder, can we use technology to multiply those impact, right? So then my last position in the government was the Chief of Digital Health Marketplace. And I have the fortune to work for IBM and led their largest AI digital transformation project in Asia Pacific. So it gave me an appreciation of technology. And then I saw how money is being used for greater good on a scale at a government policy level. And I thought, why don't I just combine these two and make something work? So I started to venture invest. Next thing I know, along the way, I met quite a lot of interesting co-investors. And out of those co-investors, I met two wonderful co-founders who had, finance background. They've been asking for money all their lives, So at age 49, I started this private investment company. So it took me a long time to get here, but it was a very natural transition because it was a combination of what I've seen, connecting the dots, but also combining my passions and my strengths. Because my strengths is that I'm an organizational psychologist by training. That's how I met Carol, because we were in HR field. But at the end of the day, when you're investing in tech ventures, you're really investing in the person, in the founder, in the founding team. So I could apply my strengths at the same time I network into investments. So not too bad so far. None of my startups have failed or out of business. And I have one exit already and one listed on NASDAQ. So I think it's a great story to tell, but it's really a pure show of coincidence, blessings, and meeting the right people and having the right mentors.
That's really interesting. And it also sounds like there's some similarities there with you and Camilla, actually, being in the investment world. And I would like to ask you, Camilla, you started quite young, as you mentioned, with Qalora. So how did you find the courage to actually start at the age of 23, you said? And yeah, what made you actually take the step?
Yeah, so I think the dream of starting a company, the idea came pretty early. I think I was a teenager when I first thought, wow, that would be a cool dream to once fulfill in my life. But I thought I had to take a longer path at first. I thought that I had to first start at a big corporate company, maybe become an intern and work myself up and build up competence and experience, and then I could start a company. But then actually the last semester of university, I found 3 other people, like I mentioned, that also were a bit interested in entrepreneurship. And we got the business idea, and then I had this team, and I realized that these opportunities might not come every day, that you find people you want to start something with, you find an idea you believe in. So I thought I should just grab this opportunity right now. And then after I started the company at the age of 23, I realized that this idea, what I had to do before, was just made up in my head. I mean, you can learn as you go. You don't have to have had a long career before you start something, but you can, of course, do that as well. So there are different roads for everyone. And that's something I want to encourage people, that there's no right time to start. You should just do what feels right for you. So that was my journey.
Yeah, I really like what you said regarding the right timing, because I think this is a typical thing where you actually just postpone it because you think you need more experience or more people in the network and so on. So I think that's a great point. And Caroline, I know that you have quite an international background because you've been in different countries, everything from like London, you lived in New York previously as well. So you must have experienced some challenges with kind of relaunching your network and image for every country that you've gone to. So how was that journey, and how did you come to actually taking the step of starting your own?
Yeah, first of all, wow, what a career path both or all three of you have had. And I can definitely relate to these like pivots that we've all taken and where it's taken us now. And it's such an honor to be talking with you now. And it's amazing to grow the network via these platforms and then and learn from each other. Really, really great. As you did say, I have had since a child actually a very international background. I've been to high school in Brazil, and I finished high school at German school in New York actually. So when I finished school, I was like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I feel like the whole world was open to me, and at the same time I had so many different interests, and so I had to start somewhere. I did stay in New York for a little bit, and I did some photography and interior design and so forth. But then there was that time where I thought, okay, I needed to study something a bit more, sustainable. And so I did actually go to hotel school because I felt like that was representing me best with the international background that I had. And it was a really great foundation because I learned a lot. It gave me a grounding for everything that I did afterwards, and it remained this international roam of friends as well, which I still nurture until this day. At the same time, I never stayed in hotel management per se. As much as I thought it was interesting, I then turned back to the original path that I took, which was more of, art related. And then I did some studies in art history as well. And it then took me to actually organizing events and growing networks and communities, basically. So I worked at a museum in New York City, and I also worked with the whole membership department there. I never curated a show, but I always wanted to bring people to the space and to the museum and let them see it. So then I also founded a music festival together with a couple of friends, also in New York. I worked in a gallery in London thereafter, and then life brought me back to my roots, back to Frankfurt, and I thought, okay, the art scene is okay here, but it's not quite the scene that I think I can pursue here. Nor did I want to go back to hotel management. So I figured I needed something completely different. And by coincidence, I was at an event, and I actually learned it was what's it called? I forget now. So it was an event, and a lot of founders were there, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. It's still something that I can grow here in Frankfurt, which is it was a Founders Institute event. So not much entrepreneurship per se had been going on here, and I thought this is something I wanted to grow further. And I got into founding my own company actually because of two co-founders. I don't think so I would have founded it myself. I don't know. I don't think so, but it was really good to have two co-founders who've already started their own startups previously and who sort of took me on board, and together we founded Station.
That's amazing. Wow. That sounds so interesting. And I know that there's so many different backgrounds, whether you start your own or you have a co-founder, but networking for sure is key, which is something that we've talked about earlier today as well. And I think something that might scare some people to actually found their own company is some of the obstacles that you come across, especially in the early stages, and perhaps that it's also risk-taking and some of these things. So I would love to talk a little bit about what type of obstacles that you have come across, but also how you overcame them. Vaughn, do you want to go?
Oh, okay, I'll start again. Okay. Yeah, I'm in Singapore, so I'm a little bit faster than in Europe. Okay. So in that sense, I think the obstacles, I'm actually personally still a work in progress, right? Even though at this age, I'm much older than you. Camilla, my daughter is my eldest daughter is 22. So you started your business at 23. So that's amazing, and congratulations, right? But I think the main obstacle, there are three obstacles I see. For most entrepreneurs, just to give you an idea, 45% of my portfolio is women-led businesses. And it's not intentional. It just happens. But I was very grateful for that. And maybe I have a personal unconscious bias for women. Okay. But the way I look at the three obstacles I personally face, which I observe also in the female founders, is a couple of things. One is the actual financial obstacle, which I think Camilla and I can comment later, not now. But that is a real financial obstacle in terms of the percentage of funding that goes to women founders. So that's one. The second thing is that I like that Caroline talks about co-founding, because the truth is, as investors, I don't know how Camilla looks at it, but when we look at investments, we look at would this leader be able to lead a team and grow the team. So it's very useful when you have co-founders, because we can see complementary strengths that will drive and scale that business. So a lot of times I find that women are very collaborative, but they're somehow very reluctant to form their own old boys or old girls network, and tap on that. So I think that area could be internal, but that could be an external, where there's not enough women groups out there, or maybe mixed groups out there, that they can form this natural co-founding network and so forth. The last thing I see is the fact that we women tend to have a certain structure, which I also look at myself in the beginning, which I have not been very tech focused. I was very much service focused business. But when we invest, we said that we really want to invest in something scalable, and technology is the way to go. So why are we not leveraging technologies or certain tools that some men tend to find it easier to go around it, right? So I think that is sort of a internal barrier, but it's also the barrier of knowledge, where most of us do not come from a STEM background, for example. So we naturally do not go into tech ventures. But I think for somebody like me, who came from a psychological background, who then became a digital health marketplace, chief of digital health marketplace, you realize it's about business model innovation and leverage on current use cases of technology. And as long as you can tap on your network for resources, that obstacle should be eliminated. So at the end of the day, there's the internal obstacle I see, but there's also the external obstacles, but those can be fixed. But there's one obstacle that can never be fixed, which is your ambition. As long as you do not have the ambition to start and own your business, I don't think anything else matters.
Camilla, do you recognize some of these kind of obstacles, but also kind of from your own journey, what would you say that your own obstacles have also been? Would be nice to hear.
Yes, definitely. That was a really, really good point. I have a topic which I'm very passionate about, that I also done a TED Talk, which is called Why You Shouldn't Be a Good Girl. So about how many women are raised to be good girls. And I'm very blessed, because my mom, it was one of the compliments she refused to tell me when I grew up. But I'm still definitely affected by how this is kind of, a red thread in society, that majority of women are raised to be very good girls, which is good in school, because it results that women get very good grades, etc., well behaved and so on. But when you go out in the business world, there can be consequences. For instance, that you are maybe more tend to want to please everyone. It might be you might perceive risk taking a bit differently, because you're not as used to it when growing up. For instance, you tend to tell girls to be more careful than boys when they fall and in play, for instance. So that is, I also see biases when it comes, for instance, to fundraising, that women get asked more prevention-based questions, like how are the competitors not gonna destroy your company, etc., while men get asked more questions about, or promotion-based questions, like how are you gonna take over the world, how are you gonna expand to different markets, etc. And this is something I've also experienced as a woman in the startup industry. So that's something I try to be very aware of and work on when it comes to this good girl mindset that so many are affected by.
Yes, and I've listened to Camilla's TED Talk, and I would highly recommend everyone to go in and listen to it. It's available on YouTube as well. It's such an important topic because I do recognize a lot of these things that you're discussing, and I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that we don't see as many female founders today. So yeah, Caroline, you're very familiar with the startup world, especially here in Frankfurt. So I'm sure that you're also keen on sharing not only your own obstacles, but I'm sure you also seen different obstacles in other startups as well.
Well, I liked Fawn's approach to answering this question. And in my mind, though, I immediately related something that's a little bit closer to what Camilla said. Actually, something that sprung up to me immediately to this answer was, I think the main obstacle is often myself or oneself, right? Then it's not even, oh, we can't find the funding, or we can't find this, or the situation is not perfect. It's never perfect, but I think it's very often at times about, you know, the thoughts that we put in our own heads, thinking, oh, I don't think I can handle it, I don't think I can manage it. But it's something that you have, it's something that we put in our own way, and it's just a shadow that we have to jump over and just go for it and try it. And yeah, even as female entrepreneurs, I think this idea of tapping more into actually being female and into womanhood and connecting with each other and not being like all the male counterparts that are in the team, but actually growing more of the strength that we have as females and the values that we have. I think that's so important to stand up for it, not shouting it out there, but just even in a team. I see, as I have two co-founders, and both of them are guys, and I think that's again such a good role to be in, to be that counterpart, but also to learn from each other, but open, to really have open talks about it, have open discussions about it, and feeling really free to express what it is that we think might be obstacles, and just being very open about it. That's I think the obstacles come much more from a personal side than from something that's external.
I actually agree with you a lot, and I think I find like it's quite familiar from my own journey as well, that it's usually myself that has been blocking the way.
Yep.
And something that I would like to encourage as well, to not feel intimidated by competitors or by not having the perfect idea, but just try it and get yourself out there just to get started. So interesting. And I would actually, one very important question I would say is, how can we encourage more women to found companies? What can we do? And everyone in here, how can we encourage more female founders?
I try to do that with my own children because my daughters are 22 and 18 now. And to be honest, you have to start from young, right? Be in education, be in awareness that there's an option called entrepreneurship. As I mentioned, at least in my generation, I think I'm in the older generation in this group, where we are not encouraged to run a business. We are more encouraged to be, in our case, to marry somebody rich and handsome and live for the rest of our lives, or to bear children, to be a good mother, or to, even if you do work for a job, you look for a corporate job, right? You don't start your own business. It's too hard is aging. It makes your skin have wrinkles, you know. So this is not something we want for in my generation. At least that's what my mom told me, right? She wanted me to be a beauty queen. She wanted me to marry a rich guy and need not work for the rest of my life. So but I think as we grow more confident in our role in the society, women needs to take up space, as one Miss Universe has said. You know, where we then give ourselves the voice for our in the society, and we have beautiful voices. You know, when we need to come out and have the repertoire. And in my opinion, the best way to do this is education, awareness, mentorship. And I love the mission of and ahead, but it's not enough. I think what is really lacking is also capital and resources, which is I'm hoping to be one of that movement to support more women. But we women need to ask for help, ask for money, ask for ideas, ask for collaborators. Don't do it all by ourselves, or do it among girls. You know. I think that is the first step. So before we could inspire others or even start education, which is a long traction to do it, let's start with among ourselves.
Very good point.
That's such a good point. That's a very good point. And I totally back what you said, that what And Ahead is doing is so important. I think growing the network and empowering each other, giving out recommendations to someone who's either looking for a job or connecting them or whatever it is, you know, being part of that that team of women to encourage each other. One thing I also did, as I mentioned earlier, we organized one of the largest startup and innovation events of the region. This year, one a program slot that was dedicated was entirely to female entrepreneurship. So we, and thanks to Carolina and Britta, we did organize the Female Founders Night, so that it was on the agenda and they had their voices, they were there, they were able to network, to exchange. I think they all met wonderful people, and it's about creating these possibilities where we can network and we can meet the right people and we can be on stage and we can just test it out also, right? And sometimes it's not for everyone, but it's good to just try it out. And I think as someone like me who has the capability of giving the stage, it's important to do so as well.
Absolutely. And Camilla, I know that you and your co-founder actually started a network with the purpose of actually encouraging more females to found their own companies.
Definitely. And I think that network, I was unmuted. No, so I think that network is really key to surround yourself with women that supports you, but also, of course, do what you can to support others, to support entrepreneurs. Can you connect them with someone? Can you share something on your social media channels and so on, to really highlight all these role models that are actually already out there? And then I also really want to highlight that we need to celebrate being brave, to start focus on taking risks, to be brave and not strive for perfection and everything needs to be perfect and you can't make any mistakes and so on. On the opposite side, people will fail when you start companies. You might have to start several companies, or within a company you might need to try different things and switch things up. And I think it's so important for us women to start shifting the perspective from being good and perfect and doing everything correct, to start failing and making mistakes, taking risks, and daring to go for your dreams and goals in life. But then, of course, support each other. I think it's a lot about inspiration, knowledge, motivation. So I think everyone has the power to make a change to get more women to start companies.
Definitely. And another thing that we discussed earlier today was regarding investments, and that more investment should actually go to female founders. So one question is actually, how do we make sure that we secure more early stage investments as female founders?
So let me start again because I'm an early stage investor myself. Camilla, are you early stage or?
Yes, I mean, we've been working with early stage as well.
I'm very curious about what you think from Europe, okay? So in Southeast Asia, VC funding is booming. From the bottom 20th, we rose to the, I think we are the 7th largest VC funding in Singapore and in Southeast Asia now, in terms of the total deal size and the volume and number of transactions, as well as, don't ask me the actual number, you know, I'm not a finance person again, but is booming in Southeast Asia with our internet economy. We have we found like 19 unicorns in our part of the world. So just this year alone, 19 unicorns. So that gives you an impression there's actually a lot of money out there, but they're mainly in the late stage. But the good news is the early stage funds are opening up. Having said that, women are still struggling. You know, I think about, only 20% maybe of the funding goes to women founder or co-founder now, for good measure. And I think the main reason is this. Firstly, there's not enough deals you see out there that are founded by women. It's a natural, if you look at a pipeline, first that happens. Secondly is that when women ask for money, they like to say, let me prove my market first, make sure I have done everything, right? My prototype is working, everything is doing well before I go and ask for money. Boys ask for money once they dig their hands into the sand and wanting to build a castle, So along the way, you need to find your supporters. You can find your angels, you can find your pre-seed and money and all of that. But my one tip is this. What I find is that a lot of women, they say, I'm in a startup and why didn't I get early stage funding? It's because you're not a technology startup. You're a services company. You're a platform of communities. You are a Rara club. You are a business of retail, but you are not actually you're not a pure e-commerce player. You're not a pure tech player. You're not a big tech company. So there's no reason why a VC would look at you and then say, I want to put money into you, because they expect a 10x return. So until your business model or your product or solution must fulfill that 10x growth potential, that's when you can approach a VC. Then say, oh, I'm screwed. Then what's going to happen? Are we going to then not run out of money to approach? Now, if you are a charity, go get your government to fund you, go to the development finance institution. So if you, depending on your business structure, then follow the right financing and fundraising strategy. Do not go to everyone to ask for money. So be very, very targeted. So what I found is a lot of women just have what I call not sure it's a startup or a social enterprise. It's like an in-between, right? So that's why you can never get the VC money, because nobody is interested in you if you do not come across as a pure tech play. So I think the business structure, the fundraising strategy, finding like-minded investors are very important, and you must start with the business.
Comments from Camilla or Caroline?
I completely agree with many things that you said. I personally, we are more of a sponsor-driven platform, so to speak. So we've never gone through a funding round. So I don't have any sort of experience from that, but obviously I do hear female founders of the region, and in conversations and exchanges that I have, that it is continuing to be difficult. So again, I think what I can do is to encourage. What I also do is, or what I'd like to see, is the development that more and more so, and I think only the last couple of years are there now funds that are dedicated, so oftentimes by women, to only female founders. I like that development, at least for a certain period of time. I don't think it needs to stay that way in a sense, but I think it's a good encouragement. What I do see though as well, and I think that goes very much in line with what Fawn said, is that I think we, as women, sometimes have to rethink also our business ideas. I think it's okay as a female founder to go into fintech, to go into something tech, and to open our minds to these sort of maybe topics that we originally thought weren't super interesting to us. But I think there's so much out there, and there's so many topics that are very that have a good future, but we also, I think, need to switch in our brain that could be interesting for us, and educate ourselves, look into it, read up on it, talk to other people about it, and look at topics that are maybe different from sort of the original ones that come into our minds.
Yes, I could add a little bit also to the funding part here. There's actually an amazing article written by a former VC at Daphne, the French venture capital firm, called Melinda Elmborg, and she's writing articles, and one I love is called 4 Things an Investor Need to Feel in Order to Invest in Your Startup. And she was realizing that a lot of investments are actually very emotional. They might be explained by logical factors such as the size of the market was too big or not too big and so on. But actually, it's a lot about evoking emotions, for instance, of excitement, of urgency, etc. And I think this is important to have in mind. I have seen sometimes teams and companies with one female founder, one male founder, very identical in terms of the development of the company and so on. But the female team is actually valuing the company less than the male team. And you might think that this would make it easier to raise funds, but it could actually be the opposite, because you want to be excited, you want to be part of something that you think will grow a lot, and they believe in themselves, they have high visions for the future. So it's important to kind of also present the company in a way that really evokes this feeling of excitement and showing that you believe and value what you're doing as well. And this also, we've also seen the gap when it comes to charging for services and so on, that women entrepreneurs tend to charge, I think it was 26% less than the male part. It doesn't mean that you will get more successful because you're cheap. It actually maybe just shows that you don't value what you provide as much as you should. So that's something I've observed that I think there is potential to change.
So may I just add to what Camilla is saying? I concur what she's saying. But there's also one element I find female founded startups are a little bit, they are afraid to follow up after the after the pitch. For some reason, they are very hesitating. They're very hesitating to ask for the money. And the other thing is that they're too slow. Sorry, we are living in when we close a round, usually it's over a weekend. I don't know what's Camilla's experience. If you get us excited, we're very excited to send a check to you immediately, and sometimes it happens within 1 weekend. So it is not that the decision making is very fast. Yeah,
that's super interesting.
When it comes and tells you we have a investor committee, the process, and then it's going to take place at the end of the month. They're basically telling you to goodbye, So you have not getting them excited at all. And the reason why is because you have not persuade them at the pitch, but also more importantly, you have not demonstrated that sense of urgency, that pace, that excitement for them as well.
That's some great, I think, insights and tips that we can take away with us today. So thank you so much, everyone. I just want to round up. I know that we are rounding up now, but I'm just going to ask one last question that came from the audience that we can just close with for this forum. And the question is, how does one overcome bias? And I think it kind of goes together a little bit with what we talked about. Perhaps there's a lot of biases about maybe being a female founder or having another heritage. Any comments about that, how we can overcome biases?
As a former organizational psychologist, I can tell you, you can't. Because our brains, are conditioned already over time, especially at my age, is very, very hard,
Yeah.
I learned a lot of things. So I think what you need to do is to be smart. to be very clever to approach the right group of investors or collaborators or partners or team. Find the like-minded investors and like-minded teammates. Do not keep going to the door and hope there will be a change. The change will come eventually when there are more of us investing into women founders, or say in this case like Asian women, for example, you know, especially in a country like US, for example. But it's okay. You know, there's always that minority group of investors that are looking for founders like you. So all the best.
True. Yes, I think we're going to round off there. So thank you so much, everyone. We had some great insights today and really good discussions. And I don't know about you, but I could continue for another hour. So many other topics. So yeah, again, thank you so much. And for everyone listening in, please feel free to connect with any of us on LinkedIn to continue the discussion and network.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. Just listening in the different stories. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks also Nawres for the fantastic moderation.
Thanks, Britta and Carolina. I'm going to go. Bye.
Okay, bye. It was
Thanks.
a pleasure have you,
Yeah.
Yvonne.
Bye. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye, ladies.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
So yeah, to wrap everything up now, I mean, we are all heading towards the weekend, yeah, thanks again, Nawres, for the great moderation of this wonderful panel, fantastic, powerful female power a panel with great ideas and sharings as well, and also some challenges we face and how to overcome them. I think Carolin and I are now, you know, really, first of all, want to thank everyone who took the time today, participants, mentors, supporters, everyone who helped to make this happen. We hope to see you soon again, yeah, we would also like to ask you to put into your calendars already our next date for our next forum, the 24th of June 2022. And where we are going to have our next forum, we keep you posted, and please, yeah, also join our community, join our next sessions. There will be like smaller little sessions in between, so we will not stop fully until the 24th of June. We are also working on this project of this platform using AI and machine learning to come up with a recommendation platform we mentioned earlier. So bear with us, become our members, join our website and platform, and yeah, big thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think we always end with all forums. Now it's up to you. Enjoy the connecting, enjoy the time, and have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.